Yo, what up? How's everybody doing? So yesterday I went to my very first live WWE wrestling event. It was the AAA versus WWE Worlds Collide event in Inglewood, Los Angeles. Let's just call it that. The house was pretty packed. The people showed up, and on the one hand, you got WWE teaming up with AAA. That's possibly a way to reach out to some of the WWE casual fans and bring them in, show them some lucha libre. But for the most part, it's really niching down as far as who's showing up live. So, you had a lot of Rowdy Raza, doing Eddie Guerrero impressions, Viva la Raza, all that. They're getting pretty hyped. Ole, 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 ole. We were getting real into it. The guy sitting next to me was just the most no filter, loud. Every 5 seconds before the show even started, he would get up, shout something. Someone else would shout something, and then it would be his turn. It wasn't like you go, you go, you go, you go. Anytime someone else said something, he would come back with whatever thought came into his head. One time he said, "I love al pastor tacos with pineapple." Literally anything that came into his head. It was a little annoying, but, he was a lovable idiot. I overall, became friends with the two guys next to me. We were both around the same age. We were here for the same reason. It was pretty easy to get along. The matches were entertaining. I made the point that this is not the more controlled program. Money in the Bank is going to be a lot more hands-on, let's call it. So they actually gave the guys opportunities to work, to wrestle, to go out and put on crazy matches, do all the crazy moves. It was a lot more like an AEW show where they're just doing all the things. And if I'm going to a lucha libre event where I don't really have to be invested in the storyline, that's kind of actually what I want. Now, normally, I prefer storytelling over just circus moves, but it's a live event. It's lucha libre. Let's just tear down the house and do some crazy stuff. Dominic Mysterio showed up early. He had a little involvement with some of the lucha guys, and he challenged them to a intercontinental title fight. So that was cool to see Dom show up, and also to be like, wow, they're going to fight later. How cool is that? And to see it happen was like, yeah, when you're there, it's different than when you're watching on TV for sure. Especially with no commentators, you're literally just seeing what you get. And he got on the mic. You got to hear him on the mic through the speakers, because it's not like on TV where you just hear the commentators. Some things you miss out on, and some things are heightened. Another thing I missed out on was the Titantron. I was seated in such a position where it was literally just like a 90-degree angle cut off. I couldn't see what was going on the screen. So if there was a pause between the matches to do a promo or, show what was happening in the weeks before, build up the match, missed all of it. There was periods where I just had no idea what was going on. Another thing that I picked up on after buying the ticket was we were on the side of the ring that the camera is facing, meaning that presentation-wise, the show is going to be facing away from us and towards the camera. And that wasn't a real big deal, but it certainly played out. The very beginning and the very ending where they're addressing the crowd and they're making their speeches, it's all facing the other way. Rey Mysterio, he circled around. He faced us a little bit when he did his speech, but when Triple H had all the other people doing their little pose for the camera moment, that was facing away from us and towards the camera. Not a huge deal. The matches are still meant to entertain all four sectors of the audience, but, little things like, oh, no wonder the seat was a little bit cheaper. And cheaper it was. 43 big ones. Count it. $43 I spent more on the Uber rides. Come on now. I kind of saw this as my last opportunity, not just my first opportunity to see a live show, because at that price, I guess you could call it a premium live event. You didn't have the star power. Chad Gable was headlining the final match with El Vikingo, but for $43 to get to see WWE, those same tickets were like $600 for the Money in the Bank match down the street. And there's a lot of people who went to both, but not me. I'm not paying the cheapest tickets to go see Money in the Bank were $222. So that would have been $265 if I'm adding it all up. And no, thank you. I'm good on just the one show. It was dope to be there. Like I said, it was a little more niche. So the more intimate, the smaller stadium, but the crowd who was more involved and there for the same reason, for the love of lucha libre, showing a little Mexican pride, like that was definitely an experience. The dude next to me, as well as Rey Mysterio, pointed out, this is a historic event, the first team up or crossover event after WWE did the purchase. Rey Mysterio pointed out that the first one was back in 1994. So here we are 30 plus years later doing it as like an official two entities under the same umbrella, building each other up. And it was a hell of a good time. I'm so glad that I went. Would I go back for the same price? Yes. For those WWE 200 and up prices, probably not. It was fun, but not that fun. I really enjoyed the high flying antics. There's this dude, Iguana, who had a toy iguana and it actually participated in the wrestling. It would bite people. It pinned a guy for a moment. It scared off Liv Morgan. Yeah, Iguana, that dude was fun. A lot of wrestlers, AAA guys mostly, who I had no idea who they were, but that's totally fine. I'd seen AAA in Mexico City, didn't know a single wrestler, and had a great time. So same thing here. I didn't have to know who these wrestlers were. The longer I saw them wrestle, the more invested I became in the matches and their performances. That's my hot take, my time at the Worlds Collide event. I've been your boy, dieseltyme. If you like the shirt, check out the merch shop, roscachemedia.com. Links down below. I also have a wrestling comic, a luchador comic. So if you're interested in checking out my Lucha Libre versus the Narcos comic, check that out also on roscachemedia.com. Like and subscribe for more. Leave a comment down below if you saw the Worlds Collide premium live event, the show, whatever. If you liked it, let me know. Peace.